Welcome into the Todd Bowles Show. Casey Phillips here with head coach Todd Bowles. Man, I tell you, I thought this show was going to be a party today. There was, with about 46 seconds left, I really felt like the tone of this show was going to be very different than it is today. So for you, what are the emotions that, for you as a head coach, when a game ends like that? Because we know losses may count the same in terms of on the schedule, but some you feel a little bit more than others.
That was tough, Still feeling that one. We got a 24-hour rule, but that was a tough one. The way it ended, how it ended, why it ended, the things we did and didn't do to not end it, that one hurt.
So let's just start with the final drive for them on offense that ended up in the game-winning touchdown. What did you see from that drive and what went wrong?
We ran a basic coverage. We didn't get to where we were supposed to be, and that caused a problem.
And so for you now, looking especially, C.J. Stroud, you're always, I know, big on giving the other teams credit, but then knowing where it was also you guys could have done more. So for him, looking at the 470 yards, NFL record for a rookie yardage in a game, what did he do well, particularly in the passing game? And then what did you see as what you guys could have done to limit some of those numbers?
Well, he threw the ball where it needed to be thrown. I think the biggest thing we didn't do, we didn't rush the passer like we could have rushed the passer, and we definitely didn't play sound defense on the back end like we know how to play sound defense, and things we've run over and over again, and those are things that make you mad.
So hindsight now, which is always, a troublesome thing, are there things that you feel like you would have done or called things differently, or is it just about executing what was out there in terms of for you as a coordinator looking back at it of, hey, maybe we could have or should have done some of those would have, could have, should have things?
It might have been a play in the first half, two plays that I'd like to have back, but in the second half, we were right where we needed to be from a call standpoint and understanding standpoint. We just didn't get it done.
I know Devin got his first sack of the season. Can you take us through that play and what worked well for him there?
I think they wouldn't hurry up, and we kind of had a zone pressure we had versus hurry up where they don't think you're going to blitz, and we send him through. He came through scot-free, and he got a sack.
So I know that was, again, his first of the season, but he has 21.5 on his career, which is actually the most by an inside linebacker since he entered the league in 2019. So what do you see as his ability to get pressure in terms of looking at his career and then this season where you'd like it to be?
He's a great add-on blitzer. This year we hadn't called as many add-ons because he's been covering more, and we're trying to get there with 4 a little bit more. Some of the blitzes, they know he's coming. They kind of key on him a little bit, so we kind of trigger Levante a little bit more than we do Devin now, since they're looking at him all the time as kind of as a quasi-D lineman. So we try to put him back a little more and then send him when we can.
And then speaking of Levante, we saw his forced fumble, which is something I've said so many times in the course of covering his career. He leads active players with 28 career forced fumbles. He passed Khalil Mack and Von Miller, and also has double-digit tackles in 4 straight games. No Buc has had a longer streak in over 20 years. What have you seen specifically in these last 4 games from Levante?
He's playing at an elite level. Him and Winfield are playing as fast as anybody I've seen play in the NFL. They practice like that. They play like that. His preparation, it's almost like he's in his 3rd or 4th year. His preparation, his understanding of what needs to be done and the speed in which he does it to get there is unbelievable.
So how about specifically that play? Take us through the forced fumble, and then it was recovered by Antoine, and what you saw there.
Well, Levante does a good job of punching the ball out. And when he sees an opening going in for a tackle, he's going to punch first before he gets the ball out, something we practiced this summer. Hadn't done it lately, but Levante, every time he sees that opportunity, he makes sure he gets his punch in.
And now Antoine is tied for the NFL lead with 3 fumble recoveries, which also matches his career high for a single season. Is this just kind of one of those luck situations where he's been near those, or is there something he's doing to really make sure that he's always in position to recover them?
Good players find themselves to be in position to recover a lot of footballs. He's one of them.
And I know we had Kalijah Kancey gets his 2nd sack of the season and 3 tackles for loss, which is the most by a Bucs rookie since Vita in 2018. What did you see from him specifically in this game, and then just how maybe you even see him continuing to go up since he came in here?
He can play across the line of scrimmage. He can penetrate and make plays that other D lineman can't make because of his quickness and his power. Just look for him to continue to play the scheme and understand what his gap responsibilities are, but he's explosive. He got to the quarterback a few times as well. We can get there a little bit more, but he's coming along just fine.
We know we've seen there be times throughout the season that guys like Zion or D. Delaney have had to come in for different injuries, but I know in this game you chose to use D. Delaney at times in place of Ryan Neal for certain plays, and it was not just due to injury. So what was kind of the thought process behind when, how, and why you were using D?
Well, as soon as we stopped the run and we realized Ryan gave up the touchdown pass, we know D was a better pass defender in that situation. And going forward, we knew that's how the game was going to be, so we put in our other guy.
And what is it about the way that D plays that gave you that kind of confidence to throw him in there?
He has vision. He always gets interceptions in practice. He makes plays on the ball. We need more guys that can make plays on the ball.
And we know we lost Jamel early on in the game with the concussion protocol, so Zion stepped in. So looking mainly at Zion and Carlton for that game, what were some of the pros and cons that you saw from each of them, and as you kind of grade out and look at some of the film session?
Well, their biggest thing is a zone concept and a few man concepts. I think they got a little frazzled early from a cornerback position standpoint. I think it was a bad day at the office, and it's very rare that both of them have busts at the same time, but they'll bounce back from that. I'm confident of that.
In that position in particular, what are the challenges in terms of bouncing back and the mental side where, you know, they are kind of out on an island so much, they can be exposed so much even on, you know, TV or just what people see. Since you did play DB, what do you know about what it takes to try to get them right for this next game?
Short-term memory. Short-term memory. Get back on the boat and go back out there and play. You're on an island, it's you against him. Every time you go out there, you got to win it. You got to win it.
And how about that 70-yard touchdown to Noah Brown? I think you kind of touched on it earlier, but what did you see on that play in particular?
Didn't play it right. We had him doubled, actually. We had him doubled. He ran up and he ran across, and our technique was bad, and we got beat.
I know there were 9 tackles for loss in the game by several guys. It was the most tackles for loss in almost 2 years by your defense. So what did you think that really contributed to that stat, and also that it was so many different guys being able to get in there in the backfield?
Just schematically, how we had to go around trying to stop the run game. We had some things that they probably hadn't seen before, that those guys got across the line of scrimmage to make some plays.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We will be back with more on the Todd Bowles Show right after this. Welcome back into the Todd Bowles Show. Casey Phillips here with head coach Todd Bowles, talking about this game in Houston. First of all, I thought it was very interesting when all of a sudden we found out there wasn't going to be a kicker for them, and I was wondering what that meant to you as you were thinking about game planning and knowing what that meant their game plan might change to be. And lo and behold, we didn't know that Dare, who was here in the past, was able to be a kicker. For you as a coach, when something like that happens that you know it's going to potentially change what they want to do, how did that affect kind of what you were prepping for and trying to do in terms of their offensive game plan?
Well, we knew we had 4 downs to defend instead of 3. That was the biggest thing, understanding where we were on the field and what they like to do. The plays didn't necessarily change, but it gave them an extra down to try to get something done.
So from a positive standpoint, even though, of course, the outcome wasn't what you guys wanted, to score 37 points on offense has to be something that is encouraging in terms of the direction that the offense is moving, having not scored 30 even so far this year. Most points since the end of the 2021 season. What did you see as what led to the increase specifically in points?
Did a good job mixing it up. I thought some run lanes opened up. I thought we got Mike involved pretty early. Everything was kind of clicking. Cade, Otton made some catches. Mike made some catches. Rashad did a good job getting some checkdowns out of the backfield, running the ball. So I thought we made progress. We just got to keep getting better.
And how proud were you of that offensive drive to go up at the end of the game, and even when there were a bunch of crazy things happening on it, that the offense was able to stay focused and put the team in that position at the end of the game?
It was big, especially to come back from 3rd and long to get us in 4th and 2. That was a big catch right there. And we made it happen. Baker made some plays. He gave us a chance to win the game.
I thought about Mike Evans of not only, you know, his 53-yard catch, but even his essentially forcing a fumble when you kind of look at that last play after Palmer's fumble to maintain the ball at that point. Maybe not his biggest game in terms of number of catches or yards or touchdowns or things, but what were some of the things that you did see from Mike in that game to be able to put us in that position to be up at the end? Mike
commands a lot of attention. You know, anytime you move him around, you kind of shift the whole defense. So Mike commands a lot of attention. He got other guys free, whether he was a decoy, whether he was blocking. He did a lot of little things that helped us.
I know it was just the second touchdown in the first quarter for you guys this season, and there had only been 13 points combined in the first quarter before getting 10 in this game. What do you think helped specifically with the faster start offensively?
No penalties. When you don't have any penalties and shoot yourself in the foot, you get off to a good start normally. So I think we got to keep working on that.
And the offense was 4 of 5 in the red zone. So what did you like specifically in those opportunities?
We were getting 7 most of the time. We got 3 a little bit, but we were getting 7 points. That's always huge in there. We ran a little bit, we threw it a little bit, we caught the ball and ran with it. So that always helps out.
And I know you mentioned Rashad. I mean, man, career best 119 yards from scrimmage for him, 2 touchdowns, his first multi-touchdown game of his career. And at one point in the fourth quarter, he had 104 yards to the rest of the team's 90. So he was obviously bearing a lot of the load in this game. And for you, what stands out about this game in particular? And do you see this as this can be the new Rashad production level that you guys can expect?
Well, you hope so. He carries the ball some. He gets some checkdowns. Checkdowns are just like runs for us. I said that last week, but he makes things happen in the open field when he catches the football. When you're doubling Mike and Chris, there's an opportunity for him to catch it in the open field and make some plays, and he did that.
I know there are times for running backs to just immediately go vertical, hit the hole, and then there are times that it's good to be patient, wait, see what develops. I know there was one run in the fourth quarter in particular that he was patient, waited for it, and I just would love to hear for you how you view his vision, his timing, the sense that he has for when to do each of those things as this season has progressed.
I think he's getting more experience understanding not only the run scheme, but how they're playing on defense and when they're stunting, so he knows when to go fast and when to go slow, and where the hole is as opposed to just looking for it early in the season.
And what grade would you give the offensive line both for run game and pass protection?
I'll give him a B.
Which, for the Bowles scale, that's about as good as an A
pretty
for
high.
other people, right?
You can't get much higher with a loss.
How often do you
get
give A's to different position groups in general, no matter how they play?
I give them to individuals, not the entire group.
Okay, that's fair. And then Cade Otton, 6 catches, 70 yards, 2 touchdowns. It was also his first multi-touchdown game of his career. What did you see that led to his production?
Cade's probably the unsung hero on offense. Cade, he blocks well, he catches all the balls. You don't think he's fast enough, you don't think he's savvy enough, but when you look up, he's the one hurting you every single time in the middle of the field. He does a great job of getting open and understanding zones and creases, and he does a heck of a job for us, and I'm happy for Cade.
That's great. All right, we have more coming up here on the Todd Bowles Show. We'll be right back. Welcome back into the Todd Bowles Show. Casey Phillips here with head coach Todd Bowles. How about Baker's game? Take us through what stands out to you about, again, seeing an offense that was putting up way more points than they did earlier this year. We saw Rashad had an amazing game, but what did you see specifically from Baker?
I thought Baker did a good job, especially early on, getting us started on the first drive. He played within the scheme. He made the throws to a lot of different guys. He gave us a chance to win. I thought he played winning football.
I know that we've talked about penalties for a few weeks now. You guys had 9 for 90 yards. How many of these were the I can live with? How many were the, as a coach, I can't stand to live with these? And where do you guys see that progressing?
As a coach, you can't stand to live with any of them. The biggest thing was most of them were on defense this time, and that was disheartening. We can do something about the holding calls. We can do something about, the roughness call that Joe had, the personal foul penalty. We can do something about those things, and that just shows a discipline thing from as far as understanding your technique and doing what you're supposed to do. And I thought, the 4 holding calls in the secondary are inexcusable.
We've seen that Tristan has, continued to play at an elite level, even moving to the other side, but it does feel like he's getting a few more false starts. That was always something that he didn't have. He only had 1 or 2 in all of his seasons before this year. I can see where it would make sense if you're going from guard to tackle of why maybe that might increase, but do you see it being correlated to his moving sides, or is there something else kind of going on?
No, I don't. Sometimes the center holds it a tick second longer. Tristan's just got to be very conscious of when the ball is getting snapped. It's starting to pile up on him, and we did some things to try to cut that out last week. We'll do some more this week.
I know also one of those penalties negated a 51-yard return by Tompkins on special teams. What have you seen typically from your special teams units on punt and kick coverage? What have you seen from those units overall, and how happy are you with their performance?
This was the first time we started having a lot of guys around the ball making tackles at the same time, which was huge for us. It usually been one or two. This time you got about 6 or 7 in the picture, and these guys are gang tackling, so they're starting to come around. I really like that part of it. They were physical for the most part. Jake did a good job pinning the ball to the sideline. And, you know, we had the one return come back with a holding call. We need to get better in the return game, but I like where our kickoff and our coverage units are going.
All right, and Devin, I mean, again, that would have been a 51-yard return, which would have been pretty incredible for him. Where do you see his confidence level and skill set in the return game at this point?
He's got great confidence, and he's always skillful. It's about understanding when he has to hit it and when he has to take it to the side. Sometimes there's nowhere to go, and you got to take what they give you and just hit it straight ahead for 6 or 9 yards. Sometimes there's something happening on the outside. You just got to do a fine line of choosing between the two.
I heard a quote from Zion that to the media after the game where he said, "This is going to tear us apart, or this is going to bring us closer together, and we have to come together." So for you as a head coach, when you think about this, what do coaches and players both need to do on and off the field from that standpoint of ensuring that, kind of like Zion said, that it's we all come together as compared to starting to come apart after a loss like this?
Just make sure we hold each other accountable and understand what we have to do going forward to get better. We can only get better if we hang together, and we know that as a team. It
feels like as a coach, a lot of times your job can be X's and O's, and then sometimes your job can be a little bit therapist. Does it feel like something for you that this week you're going to need a little bit of the therapist hat?
It's probably 95% therapist and 5% X's and O's.
And you feel ready? You got your therapist hat ready for this week?
Yeah, but I'm trying to find somebody to give me some therapy.
Yeah, you're like, wait a minute, I'm having to handle this too. That's great. All right, we have one more segment coming up here on the Todd Bowles Show. We'll be right back. It's time for our final segment here on the Todd Bowles Show. Let's look into this next game. Let's start with Derrick Henry. This is a guy that I remember the first time I ever saw him in person, and if I had not known who he was, I would have never thought he was a running back. I was like, that is a giant defensive end over there. Tell me what it is like to face someone as unique as him in the way he runs the football.
It's different for sure. You better get your rest and eat your Wheaties, because it's going to be an all-day thing with him. Very physical, very fast, very tough. Their offensive line is very physical. Vrabel brings a tough team coming into town, so it's gonna be a battle. It's gonna be a battle. We understand it's gonna be a hard-fought contest, and we understand it's gonna be very physical. So we got to be ready.
And then, how about looking at the whole Will Levis, Ryan Tannehill dynamic of how one of them in versus the other one would change a little bit about their offense, or what you guys needed to be prepared for?
I think we just have to prepare for the offense. Obviously, they throw differently. Tannehill's been there longer, so he probably knows a little bit more. Levis has a great arm. He had a great game the first game. He played well the second game, so we got to be ready for both.
And now, again, it's multiple potentially rookie quarterbacks you're having to face very quickly together here. What are the challenges of that when, I mean, at least C.J. Stroud, you had, almost half a season of tape to a degree. You had 6-7 weeks or so. But a guy like Will Levis, who didn't start even the season, you don't have a ton of NFL tape on. Does that make the preparation a little bit more challenging?
I don't think it does, because we have to focus on us. What we got to do to get better is what we really need to do. It doesn't really matter what Tennessee does right now. We have to fix us. And if we can go into the game fixing us, we can go ahead and play them a lot better.
How about on the defensive side of things for them? What stands out to you?
Very physical up front. Obviously, the big interior guys can give you a great push. Mississippi State over there, he's having a heck of a season. Murphy Bunting's over there. He's playing well. They got a good physical defense. They play very smart football.
And outside of Derrick Henry, who are some of the other weapons that stand out to you about them?
Well, they got their first-round pick and their receiver, who does a very good job. But Hopkins is really their main go-to guy. He got a couple big plays down the field. We really got to rely on him. It's like he turned the clock back a couple years, and he looks like the Hopkins of old when he was in Houston. So that's going to be the biggest main challenge. And again, the offensive line is huge, so we got to do a good job over there, because they got some first-round picks up there.
Is it nice to know that you are getting a chance at a home game here? And again, this is a pretty brutal stretch of a lot of road games. Do you feel like that is an opportune time to kind of try to right the ship, as I make a Buccaneers pun? We
got to right the ship at home or away. So we just got to become road warriors when we're away. We got to be home stalwarts when we're at home. So we got a big one at home this weekend. We got to be ready.
And finally, what is something you want to see at practice this week that'll tell you that the team is handling this loss the way that you would want them to turn the page to this next week?
Just bouncing back, getting back to our old self, bouncing back, guys bouncing back from bad games and concentrating on little things to get them better.
Well, Coach, thank you as always for taking the time to spend with us, and good luck this next week.
Appreciate it.